New Year's night, a rematch of a shootout between Georgia and Ole Miss. The Dogs winning 43-35 in Athens. This Ole Miss team playing its second straight rematch in the CFP. They beat Tulane a second time this season in the first round. 1918, the last time they lost to the same team twice. 1910, the Tennessee Doctors didn't stand a chance. Ole Miss won both of those meetings. We've got Chip, we've got Leger, we've got Ken's, and we've got Ole Miss did not force a punt against your Georgia Bulldogs in that first meeting. It was a fantastic game. It was whoever had the ball last, basically. Whoever could force a punt was going to win.
Right.
Georgia did that. Ole Miss didn't. That has to be where you start with Ole Miss, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's been their biggest weakness all season, has been their defense. And obviously they can put up 80 gajillion points, but they can also allow 80 gajillion points, to put it in coding data words here. Yeah. I mean, this is legitimately a team that scored on every single drive against that defense. And now that defensive coordinator is your head coach. So as a Georgia fan,
I like how you did that, McKenzie.
I like the way things are going here.
I don't know, but now he has more control. Maybe more control defensively.
What I will say is, I think beating a quality team is so hard to do twice in a season. I'm not so sure we're getting the exact same Ole Miss team without Lane Kiffin here. So again, that's something I always like to say. But again, we saw with with Oklahoma and Alabama, this is not going to be the same Ole Miss team, in my opinion.
Yeah, Chip. I mean, what can Ole Miss do to maybe hold them to 10 or 15 fewer points in this game?
They have to force turnovers. They've got to fit, onside kick. Steal possessions in any way possible. I mean, think about what we saw against Tulane.
Yeah.
Tulane moved the ball very effectively and even probably could have scored more when you look at the yards that they were able to pick up in that game. Jake Retzlaff did a good job of moving the ball against them. I kind of think that a Georgia offense that has also just continued to get a little bit better. I will be monitoring, the offensive line, which, of course, you lose Drew Bobo. That's a very, very big deal. And we have seen some of that be a little bit tough for them to be able to get over in terms of on a down-to-down basis. The SEC championship game flipped in terms of the leverage of the battle so that they weren't really forced to push things offensively, play a little bit of field position. But I think that for Ole Miss, you've got to find a defensive caliber that, frankly, has not been there against a Georgia offense that has been very, very good throughout the year. Again, what I saw from Tulane was alarming if I'm an Ole Miss fan going into this game.
And to that point, Chip, my train of thought is, can they handle the physicality of the run game for Georgia? Because when you look at that game, even though they were down by 9 in the fourth quarter, most people would abandon the run. They stayed to their script, and that's what got them over the top in that game versus Ole Miss. So they got bludgeoned in the run game versus Georgia for over 220 yards on the ground. And when you look at that, that's my concern going into this game. Like you said, Tulane was able to move the ball. They just turned it over.
Right.
So can Ole Miss stand up to the physicality, which is the run game for Georgia? That is going to be, to me, one of the big determining factors in this game because, to your point, McKenzie, Ole Miss can score with the best of them, right? And by script, they want to be in the league. What happens if they're down in this game? That's a serious question to ask, right? Because Georgia can salt the game away, how physical they are with the run game.
And even though Georgia in this matchup 35, they've done much better defensively since then. But I think it's 4 straight games.
I forgot what a sack was that first half.
I was like, they've been way better rushing the passer the last 4 or 5 games.
I'm texting in my group chat and we're like, I don't remember our defense ever looking like this the past few years.
4 straight games where they've allowed 10 or fewer. They haven't allowed, since that game, 6-game winning streak since then, even though they won that game as well, so the winning streak goes back further. In the 6 games since, they haven't given up more than 21 points per game. So on that Georgia side, where are you looking defensively?
Yeah, it's Trinidad Chambers. They got to keep him in the pocket. He led them in rushing in this matchup earlier in the year. They are one of the best run-stopping teams in all the land. So I'm not worried about them stopping, Keywan Lacey in the run game. It's more Trinidad Chambers and his off-platform, off-script plays. If Georgia can do this, and me and McKenzie were just talking about this, they had really struggled getting after the quarterback, but they've done significantly better the last couple of weeks. You have to keep Trinidad Chambers in the pocket. To me, that's the key for the Georgia defense.
So 76 is an important number I'm keeping my eye on. 76 is the number of inches in 6 foot 4 inches. 6'4" is Colby Young, the Georgia wide receiver who got injured in the Ole Miss game and has been missing from this passing attack. And so that's why you look and it's been Zachariah Branch to the left, Zachariah Branch to the right, Zachariah Branch to the left, Zachariah Branch to the right. And they've still been able to be productive. They've still been able to win, but I think Colby Young's a really, really good player. He's an old player. He's got a lot of experience. And if this does turn into a shootout, if Trinidad Chambliss is able to get it going, then I think being able to have one of your best wide receivers back to provide some balance to what Branch can do in the quick game, I think that is absolutely huge for Gunnar Stockton.
And for the love of God, provide it early. Like this Georgia offense at times of this year, at times of last year, they start so slow. And not in a way that I ever really panic, because Kirby Smart is the best in the business, in my opinion. And what he does in that locker room during halftime is beyond me, but whatever it is, it works, right? I mean, second halves with this team, third quarters with this team specifically. But if you could just give yourself some wiggle room and not be playing catch up to some of these teams with a strong pulse, which has kind of been their issue throughout the season, they can get the job done. But make it easier for yourself, right? Don't be chasing the way they have so often the past 2 seasons here. So if they can get out early with Gunnar, again, they've been here, they've been in the Sugar Bowl before. The familiarity hopefully will help them get a hot start.
Cans, it's gentlemanly, all right? You don't want to come out and be too loud early, all right? You just want to ease into the game.
They eased into their one loss too easily. They fell behind 14-0 to Alabama,
Right.
and that's the one time they lost 24-21 early this season. All right, pick time. Georgia is a 6.5-point favorite. This is not the largest spread of the college football quarterfinals, but Chip, I heard you talking upstairs in the newsroom that you would be the most surprised.
Yep.
The biggest upset in your mind would be if Ole Miss can win this game. What's your prediction?
I think that I've got Georgia 34-17, maybe in one of those games that doesn't even feel that close. Miami could beat Ohio State, and I would not be stunned. You could see Alabama beat Indiana. I would not be stunned. Obviously, a coin flip in the Orange Bowl between Texas Tech and Oregon. But if this Ole Miss team, with everything that they've got going on, with assistant coaches who legitimately, because this game's in New Orleans, have been driving back and forth to Baton Rouge to plan the transfer portal heist that they are about to have for the Tigers. I mean, this Lane Kiffin tweets a photo of his staff getting ready to work the portal, and immediately Ole Miss fans are like, oh no, that's our acting quarterback coach who's right there. Like,
unreal.
This is chaotic is not even enough to describe it. So, yeah, I've got Georgia by 17 as my official prediction. But again, the biggest stunner for me would be if Ole Miss, under all these circumstances, was able to pull together against a Dogs team. These young pups have grown up.
Yeah.
Kirby told us before the season as some of the most first and second year players he was ever going to have to play. And when we start to think about the transfer portal and talk to people around the industry, everyone's like, nah, Georgia's good. They're going to work on investing in who they've got. They're not shopping. And that tells me that teams that get better throughout the year and they feel real good about the way they're playing, I think they win big here. And I think they could keep it going deep into this bracket.
I mean, talk about cinema from Chip Harris in there. I couldn't have said it better myself. Chills. Kirby Smart. Look, I just trust this guy. Like, truly, any roster he has, I'll be the first to admit, this felt like our least talented roster in 5 years, right? But if you have Kirby Smart, a lot of good things can still come your way. So I do think they can cover as well. A consistent trend I've been on is taking Georgia in these third quarters, in these fourth quarters, in the second half as well. I've even been on record giving out the opponent first half money line parlay with the Georgia second half money line. So trying not to be a homer here. I do think they can cover, but if you want to just take it to the second half, I think that's always a successful part.
Yeah, I'm with Chip. I think they cover it easy. It's just too much going on with Ole Miss, right? The offensive coordinator will be the offensive coordinator for LSU. So much of the coaching staff will be at LSU. There's just too much going on for Ole Miss. I think this will be a game where Lane Kiffin is missed the most, right? In a game, in a SEC opponent, you're playing them again. I think Georgia, again, the physicality in the run game in the trenches ultimately has the Dogs winning. Give me Georgia minus 6.5.
I think he's going to be there.
This is going to be hilarious if he is.
Is he getting another pay bump? Is he getting another bonus if they win this game, Lane?
I do not know how. I would assume so based on the way that the reporting went around his contractual payouts and those negotiations. But I just think it is it's quite a scene for us to be dealing with. Like if he shows up in the announcer's booth.
I was about to ask, will he be in the booth again?
way.
Will he be in the booth again?
He would never.
Will he stay for the whole game?
Well, he did it in the Texas Bowl. Yeah, he was like, I'm going to go watch Ole Miss, the LSU team, of next year.
And maybe some hot yoga in the New Orleans area
Oh, my goodness.
in the second half of this game. To Chip's point, Ole Miss is the longest shot to win the championship at 22-1. Georgia with the third shortest odds, plus 500 behind only the Big Ten,
good value.
Big Two, Ohio State and Indiana. Ken says great value on her Dogs.